Hi, my name is Danny, and this is a story that always comes to mind when guests ask me if I've ever had a close encounter with an animal. So, I was still working at Sabi Sabi, and my guest at that time really wanted to see a pride of lions. I knew that the southern pride was down in the south somewhere, and we decided we were going to go out early the next morning to see if we can find them. The next morning came, everyone was ready, set and to go, and we jumped into the vehicle to head down to the south. Now it's quite a long drive down to the south, but we took some shortcuts. So eventually when we got down to the south, we went into the area where we thought the lions could potentially be. And as we were driving along, we found a fresh pair of lion tracks leading straight into the bush. We decided we're gonna first drive on all the roads around the block to see if we can find some more tracks heading out. Not to waste any time, we drove around and we couldn't find any tracks. We went back to the first set of tracks, and me and my tracker turned to each other and we just nodded. We knew exactly, these lions are somewhere deep in the bush willow thicket. I turned to my guest and I told them, just sit tight, me and my tracker are quickly gonna hop off with my rifle and to see if we can find these lions. Just as we was about to get out of the vehicle, a colleague of mine came around the corner. She also couldn't find any more tracks, and she said she's going to come with us to see if we can track down these lions. So her tracker and she jumped off the vehicle and they came with us. So as the four of us were walking, we're checking everything, seeing if we can find some more signs, seeing if we can find the lions, any signs that could lead us to these lions. And at a stage, we decided we're going to cover more ground and the four of us are going to split up. So me and my tracker went the one way and my colleague and her tracker went the other way. All right, so now we are two different groups. And as we tracked along, we found fresh buffalo tracks with buffalo dung. And right on top of the buffalo tracks is a very massive paw print. So these lions have been tracking down the buffalo. They were hungry cats. So we walked to see if we can track them down. And just as we came to a little drainage line, my tracker was walking in front of me because he always accused me of stepping on the tracks, and you couldn't see the tracks and you couldn't see where the lions were heading anymore. So I had to walk at the back of him. And he's quite a big bloke, so you couldn't always see past him. And all of a sudden, he just stopped in his tracks, and he stopped. And he whispered to me, "Don't move." And I'm like, I can't see anything, obviously, because he's in front of me. And I just peered my head to the side and looked over across him. And I see these 3 lionesses with a half buffalo in their mouth. So they caught this buffalo, probably early in the morning, and they caught this buffalo. And they looked at us, and the big mom, she started growling, but still standing her ground. Now there's a tiny little drainage line between us, which might have been our saving grace for those 3 lionesses. My tracker says, okay, take 1 step back, another step back, another step back. And finally, when we felt safe enough, he said, okay, let's turn around and walk back. Now we knew that my colleague and her tracker was still somewhere in the bush. And my tracker just gave 1 little whistle and he said, that's the whistle. The other guy knows that we found them. They'll also head back to their vehicle. And we walk, and I suddenly realize, I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't there some male lion tracks somewhere also while we were tracking? And we realized, oh yes, we haven't seen a male lion yet, and he must be close by somewhere. So as we walked back to the car, back to the vehicle, we kept our eyes peeled, but we're so excited to get back that we didn't really pay attention past what we walked. We were probably 10 meters away from the vehicle, and something came from the back of us. Roar, 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 roar. And it was this male lion chasing us from the back. We probably walked past him like 3 times and we didn't even realize it. But the last time was enough for him, and he decided, no, he's going to give us a little bit of a scare. Nothing too serious, luckily. I know the first rule in the bush when you're walking is do not run. Your guide will always tell you, whatever happens, do not run. That rule slipped my mind completely, and I was quick in that vehicle, quicker than you could say lion. Me and my tracker hopped on, put out my rifle quickly in the bag, and I looked at him and he looked at me and our eyes were big as this. And I looked at him and I'm asking him, "Are you okay?" He says, "Yes, I'm okay." And as I looked into my colleague's vehicle, she's not there. And I'm starting to stress a tiny little bit. Did they know that the lions were there? Did they hear the male lion chasing us? What is happening? And just a few meters down the road, here they pop out, also eyes big. And she jumps into her vehicle and I just ask her, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm okay." And down we went to see track the lions down with the vehicle again. We knew which area they were in, so it was easier to track them down in the vehicle now. So we got there, and obviously we had to tell the rest of the guides that were also looking for them that we have found the lions. Now I'm still very out of breath and my heart is still racing. So I pick up the radio and I'm like, "Everyone, we found the lions." And someone radios back, "Danny, are you fine?" I'm like, "Yes, I just had to run a little bit, but I'm good." Yeah, that's not always a good sign in the bush when you had to run a little bit. But that's my story of a very close encounter that I had with a lion that I didn't even know that there was a lion. Hope you enjoyed that one. See you next time.